So hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Question Block. And the last question was, what is one section of a game deemed difficult by most fans that you didn't find to be that hard? So there's quite a lot of those instances that are kind of hyped up by fans or players as being like really difficult, like notoriously difficult, but aren't actually as hard as most people say it is. I've encountered quite a lot of those moments before. So it was actually kind of inspired by one moment of a certain game that I've been talking about a lot lately. That one commenter actually kind of put. So I'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's go ahead and get started. So Diego said the Sandbird from Super Mario Sunshine. It's honestly not that bad. Like, many, if not most Mario fans think as all you have to do is be patient while the bird moves, and not to be hasty while being around it. Even with the game's wonky controls and physics, it's pretty easy to beat this one. Yeah, that is definitely one that I'll always stand by as not being that hard. I remember when people just hyped this up as being one of the hardest Sunshine missions and everything, but I completely disagree with that. Like, honestly, I would say it's definitely one of the kind of normal difficulty missions and everything. Like, honestly, I've encountered like some floodless missions that are harder than this. But the Sandbird, I can understand why people consider it to be difficult, because it is like a rotating platform with like the platform, like parts of it kind of disappearing. So that definitely is understandable, and if you're not like paying attention, you can fall off easily. But if you do know what you're doing, like, this really shouldn't be that hard. Like, honestly, when I first played Sunshine, it only took me about like 2 tries to beat this. It really isn't that hard. I like Mario Sunshine has a lot of those instances where there's like certain like levels or missions and things that are definitely hyped up a lot as being pretty hard. Like the one like the Leaf Lily Pad mission. I mean that one. I can kind of see like that can be pretty difficult for most people, but the Pachinko one, I feel like that's definitely overhyped. Um, I mean, it is annoying, but I wouldn't say it's that hard. And one that I would actually say is pretty hard is like the one where you have to like bring the watermelon to the like one area there. That like that mission, I would say that one is harder. But the Sandbird and the Pachinko one and some of the others that are kind of hyped up as difficult really aren't that hard. But yeah, Mario Sunshine definitely has a lot of these instances. So the next one is from Master Green Jay, and they said, for me, it's the Soul Melter Extra Difficulty for Kirby Star Allies Ultimate Choice. I'm not gonna act like it's a spring breeze to go through, but if you take advantage of what the game gives you, it's possible to beat. Yeah, with Kirby Star Allies, it definitely kind of offers a lot of difficulty options, and I haven't played Kirby Star Allies in quite a while. I have played some of those extra modes and everything, but I did think it was kind of difficult, but like you said, it didn't seem like impossibly difficult. Like if because it does give you like a lot of like healing items to work with and everything. Honestly, I would say this game is more liberal with its healing items than most Kirby arenas and things. Especially compared to like Return to Dreamland and everything. And then also when comparing it to like other like either like the arenas or true arenas of other Kirby games, um, like they give you like more options in terms of copy abilities and characters to play as. So I feel like there's like more things to work with here in general. Like it's Kirby Star Allies has like quite a lot of things to it. Like even though I mean I do have like a lot of flaws with like there are a lot of flaws in the game. But one strong point of Star Allies is its extra content, and I would say that like it does kind of give you like a lot to work with there in terms of like the soul melter and things. So yeah, I could definitely understand your point on that, even though I also understand how most people find it to be pretty difficult. So the next response is from J to the Pete Moreno, and they said, Pup Peaks special Climb to the Beat from Mario Wonder. I beat it on my first try, since I've played a ton of Mario Maker 2. I'm used to the more precise and difficult levels, where you have a little room of error. Yeah, with that level, I definitely agree. That's another one of these, like, especially recently, that has been hyped up a lot, that really isn't that difficult. Then there's also the jump 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 one as well. I think that's what it's called. That's on like that you play before this to unlock this level. But that's not very hard either. But special Climb to the Beat, I think it's actually a pretty fun level. Like, if you don't like have any badges attached or anything, or any badges that would like kind of restrict you from like jumping normally. But I mean, maybe the spin jump, like maybe the boosting spin jump badge, that might be okay for this, but I tend to prefer to do this without badges. But it's pretty fun, like, kind of getting used to like the like wall jumping and kind of jumping to the beat and everything. So it's a really fun level, and like I definitely think it is kind of overhyped as being too difficult. I can understand why, because it is more difficult than most standard 2D Mario levels, but it's definitely not very difficult at all. So, Armani said, it's very funny how most 2D Sonic games get a lot of slack in general for these specifically annoying segments, especially the Dimps games having their infamous bottomless pits. But one annoying trap I'm picking is the infamous Barrel of Doom from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It's just so iconic. Yeah, like that one, like if you first come across it without knowing what to do, like it can be very unintuitive, and it's like a lot of people tend to get stuck at that point, since you control it in a different way than how you control most things in the 2D Sonic games, because it's weird like how you do it with the D-pad and everything. It's just really weird. Like it's not that hard, like once you get used to it. It's actually very easy once you know what to do with it. But it's just with the core design of 2D Sonic, it will stump quite a lot of people, just due to how like everything works. So I can definitely like understand why a lot of people got stuck at that part, but like I think it's just I think it's probably because of just weird or game design in general from that part. Like on the surface, like when designing the barrels and everything, it doesn't seem like something that would be very difficult, but it kind of is to some people. But yeah, I definitely think that's one thing. I mean, it is overhyped to some degree, but on the other hand, I can understand why a lot of people get stuck at that point, just due to how different it is from most gimmicks and obstacles in 2D Sonic games. But yeah. So Jaden the Red Fox said, the Pit of 100 Trials in ThousandYearDoor, most people consider the pit to be difficult. The reason probably being how beginner unfriendly the pit can be. But I think it's fairly easy. As long as you go into the pit with some sort of strategy, it's not really too difficult of a challenge. That is, if you tackle the pit late in the game, where you have every partner and Crystal Star. If you do it, let's say, right after Chapter 1, that's a different story. Yeah, like, Pit of 100 Trials, post-game, that is pretty easy, or even, like, late game and everything. Like, that is not too hard when you're at a certain level. It kind of depends on, like, what level you're at, and then, like you said, also the partners as well. So like, if you have a lot of resources on you, it's like really not too difficult if you know what you're doing and everything. But like earlier in the game, if you play it like much earlier, or actually do like a challenge like the pre-hooktail pit and different things, or like just very early in the game in general, it could be quite a bit of a challenge if you do that. I think the Pit of 100 Trials is really like kind of like a flexible thing, like where you could kind of take on the pit at different levels and things. It's kind of something to where it's kind of like almost like you choose the difficulty that you want the pit to be, just depending on the resources that you have or go into it like at a certain part of the game. So I think it's pretty interesting in that aspect. But if you're doing it like with a lot of resources, it can be pretty easy. But if you're doing it like very early, like I mentioned, like before Hooktail, or a few people have even beaten it during the prologue, which is insane. That is where it becomes like a challenge. But yeah. So Fiction of Grandeur said, considering how memorable the Forest Maze song is, it's probably because people got lost there for so long, the song got stuck in their heads. But it was easy for me. I just had to follow Gino's route there, follow Gino's route there, follow Gino's route there, follow Gino, I'm a gaming god. Yeah, the Forest Maze is another one that I really agree that is like super overhyped. And honestly, it's actually the inspiration for this question, for this video. Because when playing through the Mario RPG remake, and I mean even this segment in the original, because I have gotten to this part in the original, it's just really easy. Like, honestly, I think the only reason people got lost here is because it wasn't like immediately obvious to some that you had to follow Gino. But when I like first played the game, like you just see Gino there, and that's kind of like intuitively the route you have to take. So I don't really understand why so many people got lost here. It's just like definitely pretty overhyped. Um, but yeah, it's like really not that hard at all. But I mean, I guess if you're not paying attention, you won't see Gino because like he only appears on the screen for a couple seconds. But I mean, I guess that's really the only way you could like actually get lost, or just like, because I always thought it was like obvious that you have to follow Gino, but I don't know. It's definitely an overhyped thing, because I just remember people like telling me, like either in YouTube comments or on like Discord, like people are saying, I really hope they fix the Forest Maze part in the remake. I always hated that Forest Maze part. It's not bad at all. It's not hard at all. I never understood why it was so hard, but yeah. So, moving on to the final response here. So, Ricky Lee Norton said, Super Mario Galaxy's Bouldergeist fight in the first mission of Ghostly Galaxy and the Prankster Comet version 2. People say Bouldergeist is Super Mario Galaxy's hardest boss, especially the Daredevil Comet one-hit version of the fight, but I've never had any trouble with him at all, and have always found him to be one of Galaxy's easiest boss fights. I'm honestly not sure what makes the fight so hard for some people, especially with how easy it is to hit the Bomboos to break the boulder shell. Especially if you grab multiple at once and hit him with multiple quickly, he gives you a chance to hit him. Maybe I've played Galaxy so much that I've memorized the fight to where it's easy for me now, but I've never understood why he's considered so hard, and it's such an infamous boss in Mario Galaxy at all, myself, really. Yeah, like the Bouldergeist, like that is not a hard fight at all. I completely agree with that as well. Another one that I agree with, like even the Daredevil Comet one, but the one-hit version of it, I mean, yeah, that did take a few tries, but it really wasn't that hard, like with how the Bomboos work and everything. I've always found it to be like pretty easy. Like the strategy to it is just like super easy. Like, I don't know, like it definitely isn't one of Galaxy's hardest. Like, I mean, I can name, like, a bunch of, like, bosses in Galaxy that are harder than this one. But yeah, this one, I would say, is definitely one of Galaxy's easiest boss fights. I've never really, like... I mean, it is fun. I would say it's honestly one of the most fun bosses in Galaxy, but not really the hardest. But yeah, anyways, those are some moments from various games that are hyped up as being pretty hard by a lot of people, but aren't really that hard in general, like once you actually get around to playing them. And I saw someone on Twitter kind of deem this as the Forest Maze effect, as the Forest Maze is like one pretty big example of this. But yeah, it could also be like the Sandbird effect or something like that, because the Sandbird is another like pretty big example of this. But yeah, so anyways, the next question is, what is your favorite winter or snow-themed level? Let me know down in the comments. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.